So, right, welcome everyone. This is the Chat Footy podcast. I am Chris Phelps, and I am really pleased to say that I have a co-host today. My good friend, Mr. Dave Horrocks, is on to give me plenty of Liverpool abuse. How you doing,
Hey
mate?
Chris, how's it going? So it's been a few weeks, hasn't it, since we last had a podcast together. So we've both been doing our individual things, but it's good to get on together every now and then.
It is, to be fair, and obviously, with you being a Liverpool fan, Dave, I have had comments that the best podcasts off some of the listeners have been when I haven't been on because it's been mainly about Liverpool. But that's probably from a Liverpool bias, and I'm sure it's the other way around when I've talked about United. But no, it's good. He's good, I think, to be fair, because obviously we've laughed and joked, and I'm so glad, Dave, that United are actually winning because Ben, we know we need to get back on. Obviously, he's done them with you, but Ben has just revelled in this more than you have, hasn't he? And now we've talked about this today. We could decide quite a lot what's going to happen this season.
It's more than most seasons I can remember. Anyway, it's going to be it has been a roller coaster already. You know, if you think about it, right? Couple of months ago, I mean, Ben and I were having a ball, sort of laughing at the atrocious football that was being played and the underperformance of the United team, and that's all turned around now. I mean, bloody hell, Solskjaer's on for the greatest win record of any starting United manager, isn't he? You know, he's. I said he had a really good run of fixtures, you know, and it was the Spurs game that was a potential one that might trip him up, but he's navigated that. And, you know, you look at the next few fixtures as well. I think Arsenal potentially tricky, but they're not the most consistent team. They can be great and they can equally be woeful. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that next game at Old Trafford, Manchester United versus Liverpool, and you've still got a 100% record. And let's face it, the fans would like nothing more right now, because obviously, you know, you guys winning the league would be the best thing, but stopping Liverpool from winning the league would be second only to that, I think. So the team and the fans and everyone would be bang up for it, I imagine.
I think it'll be carnage at Old Trafford on that one, Dave. I agree. I totally agree. And also the thing is, it could be we could say a lot and do a lot with the title, but we could also just do nothing. We could end up beating both of you, and you don't. You know, you're in the same position you are now, sort of thing. Because I still think City have got a bad performance in him. I just think at the moment you guys are just playing too well and too consistent. You've got. It looks to me, even though the football's a lot better, you've got that thing what Leicester had, where they went past Christmas and then they really started to believe, and that's what I can see in the games, especially like at the weekend as well. You know, it's like you know, making me feel sick saying this, but you are the best footballing team at the moment.
I think you know what, my mind often wanders back to 2009 though, because I think we had the best first 11 back then.
Yeah.
The big difference was, though, United had the best squad. So when we had to rotate, when we had to go into, you know, when we didn't have, you know, Gerrard was playing probably at the peak of his, you know, the best he'd ever played. Torres was absolutely on fire and would never play again like that before and after in his career. You know, he had Mascherano in there, you know, everything. I think that first 11 was the best team that year, but then you kind of drop those players out and you're getting into the likes of Cinema Pongol, Igor Biscan, Letalek, you know, these nobodies, and the performance levels of the overall team just dropped massively. So I think we're in a similar position now where I do think that first 11 probably or possibly arguably is the best in the league right now. But the resources that City have, you know, and the squad that they've built up, that expensive squad that they've built up, that is better, hands down. that is better. So it just depends, can we get to the finish line before them? And, I think this could be a record for, 1 and 2 in terms of total points accumulated, because neither of them really look like dropping points at the minute.
No,
although I say that, I was sweating a bit on Saturday, I have to say.
This is well Palace, didn't they?
Well, I think this was almost, it's funny you say about us playing well. I don't really think we've played that well this year. We've done it in fits and spurts. So, second half against United when Shaqiri came on is one of those spurts where we played quite well. But we've just been, I don't know, like professional, and it's not been the Klopp of the first few years. So Saturday, though, it was like Klopp's first full season, where Crystal Palace were just defending deep and we were just falling for it. We were getting bodies forward to try and work an opening, and then they were just catching us on the break. And then if they lost the ball, they were right back again, just leaving one man up front. And I have to say, Zaha had a fantastic game. He just gets better and better, and I have to wonder how long is he going to be at Palace, because he is wasted there for me.
Yes, I never wanted to get rid of him at Old Trafford. I remember watching his first pre-season in 2013, and obviously he was always go down as Fergie's last signing for United, because he signed him before he retired, and it's one of them where he just didn't get a fair crack. Moyes, there was all the rumours about Moyes and Zaha and Moyes' daughter, which was obviously unfounded, but it just seemed to be, it was just a clash of personalities. The guy, when you listen to it now, he's obviously suffered some sort of mental breakdown, didn't he? He got to United and was just in awe of the place, and then it just went backwards for him, and he never played after that. And I was ashamed, because when he did play, Dave, there was someone there. Van Gaal didn't play him either, and he's another one you're thinking, God, I might not say Solskjaer, even I think maybe Mourinho might have played him, before. It's a shame that we got rid of him, but is he also a big fish in a small pond? You know what I mean? Maybe this is his level. Like Balassi.
Yeah, possibly you might say, is he a Letizia? He's quite happy being there. I don't know. I kind of think he was pretty unlucky. If I had a minute to speak to Zaha, I would just say, look at Salah, right? He went to United. He went to Chelsea. It was too early for him. He definitely didn't. He didn't get a fair crack of the whip. But when he got time, he didn't show it instantly. And again, that's because he'd come as a young man. He's very raw. Look at him now. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne as well. So for me, Zaha should move to a bigger club and just give it a go, because he honestly looked devastating on Saturday.
No, he did. He's a cracking player. And going, if you don't mind me, Dave, I saw an interview. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the interview Mourinho with Richie Keys on beIN Sports?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard bits on the radio, and I've read bits as well. And I think most of them are pure comedy. But I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, obviously we always allude across all our podcasts that we are massive David Brent Office fans. Now, this interview, we had Richard Keys, who looks now like he's got the same suit he had on 25 years ago when he created Sky, and he literally needs a better suit and a bigger suit, unfortunately. But he really struggling, Richard Keys, now as a presenter. I think his questions are just terrible, Dave. He's absolutely up the backside of everyone I've seen on there. I put beIN Sports on and see these interviews, and I just struggle, because I used to respect Richard Keys, but I just think he didn't ask anything too probing. I know that's not what I was getting onto, but it really frustrates, because he used to like Andy Gray as well. But anyway, that's my little moan there. But Mourinho starts and he just goes pure Brent, absolute pure Brent. It went down a rabbit hole that made no sense at all. It was just nonsense. He's talking about, like, the club should do this, the club should do that. Yes, I agree. And he had a dig at Jurgen Klopp then, saying, well, 3.5 years and they're stuck in by him and he's not won anything. And obviously Mourinho had won things. But he was sort of trying to say he's not had the backing like Pep, where Pep wasn't happy with the fullbacks. He bought 4 fullbacks, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you spent 400 million. And this isn't me slagging Mourinho off now he's gone, obviously, and just like totally trying to justify the fact the way we're playing with, Ollie and all that stuff. And it proofs in the pudding. He just literally down tools halfway through that second season. He just thought, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not going to actually walk, but I'm going to get myself sacked because I'm going to get 10 million for walking away. And that's, to me, Dave, that's exactly what he engineered, because look what Solskjaer's doing to the team. Yes, you are correct. There's some games there you'd expect United to win, even with Mourinho in charge. But Tottenham away, no way we would have won that game with Mourinho in charge, Dave. I'm telling you now, we would have just sat 10 men behind the ball, Fellaini, Matic and Herrera, and hoping Lukaku would get like his shoulder onto a touch or something, because he's you know what I mean? But I just think what he's saying is a valid point, but the way he said it's just coming across really bitter now. And it's like, you failed at Chelsea after you won the league. You failed because you've gone about Conte then saying, well, they won the league, but they were the most defensive team to win the league. But if that had been me, they would have got slagged off. But because it was Conte, it was all praised and all this. It was a masterclass. And it's like, you're just sounding bitter and bitter. If you weren't so nasty towards people and so standoffish, I don't think people would give him such a hard time. But he's just there all the time, isn't he? Because of the way he is.
Yeah, I think he is becoming David Brent, and he just a little bit of I don't know if you follow Deluded Brendan on Twitter, but he's whoever's running that is quite funny. But he got to that position, in his last season where he was just seeing different things that everyone else was seeing. You get absolutely wiped the floor with. And then he'd talk about what great character they had, and just utter delusion. And you have to say, so I saw the quotes about Guardiola and Klopp. So let's just stick to the facts. When Guardiola took over City, they were not, they're not like it's not like picking up Huddersfield and having to build up a squad from scratch, but they had a lot of aging players. The likes of Torre was coming to the end. He had to do a bit of a rebuild job. And meanwhile, that expectation that they're going to win loads of stuff is still there. And so you could see what he was trying to do, the way he was trying to play. And he identified that the fullbacks were the key. So they needed to go out, they needed to spend money on finished product, pacey, strong fullbacks, and that was going to give them the edge. Yeah. And it did. And then they won the league with record points total.
Yeah, I agree.
With Klopp, what he's got into his head, and I don't know is it mind games or is he genuinely this deluded? He's got in his head that Klopp just waves the checkbook around and Liverpool buy loads and loads of players. I can tell you for years and years, we have bought loads of players, right? One of them's popped up again at Fulham, Ryan Babel. Yeah, we bought loads of players that were kind of, not none of the top teams were really after them, but, in that second tier of players that just might, one of them, like Suarez, just might come good and develop into a world-class player. Coutinho would be another one as well. In Klopp's, and a lot of the managers would always be, they'd bemoan the fact that they don't have these great players. What Klopp did in his first year, he brought in one player, right? It was an on loan, Steve Colker, right? Yeah. That was it. And he was just trying to coach the players that he had. And then he gave them a chance. And then when he's had money, he's spent wisely. So he brought in Mane. He brought in Wijnaldum, who I thought, why the hell are you buying someone like Wijnaldum? And he's been great. What he's so you notice his signings more because he makes so few of them. in the grand scheme of things, you know, he's not wheeling and dealing. Again, you look at this previous summer window. So he brought in the goalkeeper Alisson for a world record fee. You know, a lot of teams will be jealous of being able to do that, but it's because he's not trying to buy 3 or 4 second tier players and gamble on the fact that, you know, one of them might come good. He's just gone after, you know, this is the player we want. What's his name? Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Gone out of my head there. He waited half a season for him. You know, they were going to go in for him for the summer, and everyone's going, your defence is rubbish. What are you doing? You need to sign a centre-back. Okay, you wanted Van Dijk. You can't get him now. Southampton are digging their heels in. Get someone else in. He's like, no, we'll work with what we've got and we'll wait. So he waited and he got the man that he wanted. And I just think, I don't know what Mourinho's on, where he thinks, you know, Klopp's had this infinite pool, and I don't have any figures to hand, but I'm pretty sure Mourinho's outspent Klopp.
Oh yeah, I think the only one who has outspent Mourinho is Guardiola. So
yeah,
he has got no excuse, Dave.
But when you know, who did Mourinho buy? So he bought Pogba, right? You were using him well at the end. Lukaku, you know, again, obviously I have no love loss for United, but for me, what I can respect is that United DNA. You know, the quick, incisive attacking, you know, pacey wingers, tricky forwards. Lukaku's not a Manchester United forward for me. No. And I'm sure I'd said to you that, you know, when you've got Rashford and Martial there, you know, getting splinters on the backside, there's something wrong there, because there are players there who, you know, have more about them than Lukaku. Because we had Benteke. I know he's dropped off a bit now, but if you're going to have a big lump up front, the whole team has to be built around it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't have that incisive interplay that you can when you've got better quality forwards. So I don't know. I think I'm not going to cry myself to sleep over Mourinho thinking that Klopp's had loads of money to spend, but you do just wonder, you know, is he on that David Brent level of delusion to lead him there?
Yeah, it feels like he's on a PR exercise to me. If I was him, I'd just take a year off and then come back. I think he's just tarnishing his reputation now. You know, he was one of the best managers, and I think he probably will be still one of the best managers, but he's becoming more apparent. He wants, like you just said, he wants a complete article. And at United, yeah, he inherited 2 crap squads, Van Gaal's and Moyes' squads, but it's one of them. He can't buy 15 players, can he? Or 16 players. It's just not. It's not feasible, is it? That's any manager's job.
Yeah. So apart from his Porto side, you know, that had the likes of Deco, you know, not bad players. Apart from that, where has he gone into a side and truly rebuilt them?
He hasn't, has he?
Well, that Chelsea side that he took over, you know, and got a blank checkbook for as well. Ranieri, I mean, they called him the Tinkerman back then. He'd assembled a pretty damn good side. You know, they had the likes of Desai at the back. And I just remember, because we'd fallen away from the top then, and we're kind of jostling for that, you know, 5th and 4th position. And I just remember we'd beat them every now and then, but they'd usually play us off the park. And so there was a pretty good side there already. And then he added in, you know, the most expensive striker like Drogba, you know, Iron Robin. You know, he basically bought the best that was available to add to an already great side.
Exactly. Makalele, Ballack, Essien was an absolute revelation when they first got in. He was fantastic. So, yeah, very good point, Dave. Very good point. But yeah, it's just a shame. I think he should just take it for what it is. He wants suited to United. I mean, you said it to me all along. I was a bit blinkered thinking, you know, he is going to turn it around. We won something in the first season, but the football was just atrocious to watch. And at least now we're having a go, which is the main thing. And the confidence he's building. And the one player I did want to mention, obviously Van Dijk, he's been sensational for you this season, Dave, an absolute stalwart. If you lose him, that's going to be big problems for you guys. But is Lindelof. I've slagged Lindelof off on this podcast. I've slagged him off to all my friends. The same thing. I've been at Old Trafford watching him. And this season, he's like Vidic. He's been absolutely, since about October, he's been amazing, Dave. He gets his head where no one else will, a la Vidic. He gets his foot in. He's got a pass on him. He set a couple of attacks up against Tottenham where Rashford sort of scored, and then Brighton as well. But he's slowly become a fan's favourite from someone last season where everyone was like, this guy is, he's up there with Fellaini. He's absolute crap, but he's not. He's been really good. I won't be surprised if he's not pushing De Gea for player of the season this year. And I never thought I'd said that about him a few months ago.
I mean, that's a good thing, isn't it? So from a United fan's perspective, because having your goalkeeper as the player of the season year after year is not a good thing, really, is it?
No, and it's not. He's the only world-class player we've had over the last few years. I mean, Pogba is, but he's the one, De Gea. That's not. We could have been embarrassed a lot in some of them games if it wasn't for him.
No, I think, and isn't it amazing? So a player like Lindelof, if you get a manager, so Solskjaer has come in, said, I believe in you, and well, to be fair, he'd already started on that upward curve, hadn't he, when Mourinho was there? But, thinking about the overall team, he obviously just, he gives them the freedom to play, and you sort of got the impression, because I always think to Luke Shaw, I don't know how he gets out of bed in the morning sometimes when Mourinho was there, because he just seemed he could do no right. So, giving your players that confidence and just go out and play. If you make a mistake, okay, that's fine. Just, don't make the same mistake twice. So I think, I didn't see it coming, to be honest, from Lindelof. But yeah, he does. He's become a player, doesn't he?
Yeah. So, Dave, just before we go, predictions for the next few weeks. What have you got? Obviously, we're FA Cup on Friday against Arsenal. So, who have you got next?
We've got a nice, lovely rest. So we've got our next league game is against Leicester.
Is that away?
So no, at home.
Oh,
now Leicester are a bit of a funny one, aren't they? They've had a huge amount of rubbish results, and I'll be interested to see if Claude Puel is actually still the manager there, because in amongst, they beat Chelsea and City back to back, didn't they?
Yeah,
and looked pretty damn good. It looked like the old title-winning Leicester back, soaking up a lot of pressure, hitting teams on the break, and Vardy looked pretty special. But, they seem to lose to everyone else. And obviously, the defending on Saturday was atrocious against Wolves. So, you would have to... The bookies will have that one as a strong home win.
Yeah.
Obviously, where we are right now, as someone once said, it's down to, it's squeaky bum time. So I'm still going to be a little bit cautious, but you would have to put that one down as a home win, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I'd say 2-0.
Good stuff. I think obviously we're FA Cup Friday on TV, Arsenal away. I think we're going to win that 2-1.
I think I think your winning streak will continue, and Arsenal against the top teams, they don't tend to, they'll have a good result and then they'll have a bad result, and mostly they'll beat the rubbish teams they expect to beat. So they've just come off a great win against Chelsea, so I think you'll beat them as well. I don't think you'll have it all your own way, and I think De Gea will probably make about 5 match-saving saves. But yeah, I think you'll win in that one as well. So I'll go I'll go 1-0.
Yeah. No, good stuff, Dave. Good stuff. So, Dave, I think that's the end of the show today. It's good to be back, but we won't sing it, obviously, because it's... no, I won't say that. Shit on it.
As I said on the Grassroots one, as Gary Glitter said, it's good to be back.
Yeah. a coaching podcast with kids, yeah. But yes, so Dave.
Should we say, so Man United have got Burnley, so your big tips for the top 4. So how do you think that one will go? That's on. That's next Tuesday.
Yeah, that'll be 5-0, that, Dave.
Yeah, I think so. Burnley are shit, aren't they? Let's face it. I don't know what you were on when you were saying that.
I'm just getting a bit giddy. I think the Sean Dyche talk had just got me all excited, I think.
Oh, I lad, oh, I.
Yeah. We'll do it. We're going to do it this time. Nonsense.
Sounds like the Tommy Cooper.
Yeah. It sounded more. Do you remember Phyllis off Coronation Street? It sounded more like her. Do you remember?
Yeah.
But no, great episode, mate. I really enjoyed it today.
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
And then also, just before we go, if you want to catch myself and Dave in the Comics in Motion podcast, get over to iTunes, Comics in Motion P on Twitter, and also there's an extension of the podcast on the radio station Indie Rocks UK. On a Tuesday night, 7 till 8, Dave and myself walk through the reviews on the podcast, and we create it into a radio show with a load of music as well, and all indie based. And then I've got a show on a Saturday, 8 till 9, which is an MMA, WWE, and boxing show, which Dave is going to be coming on. Right? Dave is a regular guest. So get over there, Indie Rocks UK, Twitter, Facebook, and get supporting us, guys.
And final plug, I'll just say about the Grassroots Coachcast. So that's where myself and Ben talk about all things to do with coaching youth football at the grassroots level.
Great stuff, mate. Great stuff. So, Dave, there's no point in leading us out. I'm just going to say that United are back. Wait me to come back with something then.
Well, we'll see. I'll just say, right, I had United pipping Arsenal for that top 4 position. And you can't argue. United are top of the form table. But United, it's not all in their hands. No, and I just wonder, Arsenal have planted that seed of doubt in my mind. So you say United are back, but you're not really, are you? Because you're still languishing. So when Solskjaer took over, you were 5th. Where are you now?
5th.
So United are back. Yep, just where I like you.
Right. I think we'll end it there, Dave.
Oh, we'll just say, right, Fantasy League, you need to sort yourself out, mate.
I've not even been on it.
You're languishing at the bottom.
Yeah, I've not even looked at it, I'll be honest with you.
You should do. Ben's still top. He's been top from day one, but I'm closing the gap.
Oh, so we'll have to investigate.
Get yourself on
me log it. I will do. No, thanks a lot, Dave, and we'll see you soon, guys.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.